Hi everyone, welcome to Raphael. My name is Raphael Morin, and every episode here is an interview, and we talk about design, development, work-life balance, expat life, mental health, history, and other cool stuffs. Welcome. So I am here super excited to have a friend of mine that is doing this podcast and allowing me to interview him.
Yeah, I was almost pressured to. You can put the gun down now.
Jefferson is a software engineer. You work with backend and
Yes.
in the and front end as well
Yeah. Sometimes the obligation most likely, but yeah, you
in
do.
the Viaplay.
Yes. On the market expansion team, and pretty much the company mission now is to enter new markets. So I'm one of the developers that were responsible for making sure that everything in the platform works. Pretty much.
That is insane. And also, the things that you tell me, you're only doing like key things now for the company that I cannot review because you told me, but it's just like there's a lot of things that going on for you right now.
Yeah, a lot of things going on for everyone actually, but yeah, especially like being a developer and having so many like background skills that can be used by the team or even like the whole company in general. It's something that yeah, it really puts like a little bit of pressure, but the team is great, the company is great, people are amazing, so it makes job easier, and yeah, I also have a lot of like great people around me, so yeah, those stuff help. So yeah, but it's a fun it's a fun challenge actually. So
Yeah.
let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes.
By the way, okay, you told me about Viaplay and stuff, but how it came to for you to like, okay, and like in Sweden, because well, you're Brazilian
Yes.
and you are from Rio as well, like a fellow, because I am also from Rio, but it's just like how you decided like to move to Sweden, like how this happened.
Uh,
First
uh,
of all, where are you from Rio?
okay, so I'm originally from the suburbs of Rio de Janeiro. I was born in a neighborhood called Cordovil. Actually, not born there, but like pretty much lived there my whole life when I was younger. And I moved out of the neighborhood to Maria da Graça, so I was still in the suburbs. But the thing is, back when I was doing uni, I had the opportunity to go for a Brazilian program called Science Without Borders. So back then I had the opportunity to live in the UK back in 2014, and that was actually the first time I ever took a plane somewhere, and that was the first time I saw something else rather than Rio de Janeiro itself. And it's pretty much I saw other cultures, and I had opportunity to learn English, and I had opportunity to actually improve my English and actually learn. I just learned so much about life. It was the first time I was living alone as well, so there was a lot of like
In UK.
yeah, in the UK.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of like things that came for me like back then, and a lot of maturity as well. And by living outside of Brazil, I saw what life could look like if I had like more opportunities in general, more like infrastructure or just safety. Yeah, just be able to walk on the street and not worry about like who's next to me. Am I gonna get robbed on next street or something? And that's a little bit sad, but at the same time, it's the reality we come from, and that's something that we had to learn how to deal with. It becomes normal at some point, so you don't worry anymore. It's just normal to have your guards up all the time. Every time you're like going on the street and you have your belongings in your pocket, you're always like watching everything. You must say, yeah, I just want to have an easier and a better life for me. Like I wanted my future to be different and everything that was seen around me. So yeah, I sort of like had my mind on this goal for quite a long time, and mostly because I wanted to challenge myself to get something different that most people thought that I wouldn't get. So there was a lot of personal challenge there as well. So
How long you live in the UK?
I lived just for a full year, and yeah, so it was quite an experience. Like seeing two winters and not seeing snow back then, it was quite frustrating because it was just cold, rainy, and yeah, UK. But it was quite fun. It was quite fun actually because it was the first time when I actually saw seasons of the year. Because yeah, in
Yeah.
Rio de Janeiro you only have summer, mild summer, and hot summer. So that's all it sums up to. So yeah.
Yeah, there's. I mean, do you feel that when you live in the UK, your English got better?
Yes, I absolutely do. I've been bullied. I mean, not actually bullied, but I mean, when I was living as a student, I not only had to write in English, I would have to listen to the accent of people all around me. I remember my first day I was in UK. I went to a grocery store with one of my friends who were living there back at the time. And I remember the woman, like when I was going to the cashier just to pay for whatever I picked, she was like, "Oh, you want a bag?" And I was like, "What the fuck?" And she was just asking if I wanted a bag. And that's the thing, like just the accent and being like in there on your face and on the moment. Yeah, I've came up with so many situations where I would struggle with the language, like with the most basic stuff. Like if something broke in my flat and I had to ask in the reception for like fix or just to explain that, for example, the handler on the cupboard doors it's just broke. It's just
no wait, so, but this you moved to UK when?
So yeah, well, I arrived in UK in the last week of 2013. So I actually spent the New Year's at that.
Yeah, because your English is quite, for me, is quite well. Like it's quite good. Yeah, but I also not English native speaker.
Yeah, no, I'm not like I don't have British accent whatsoever, but I may have a way to pronounce a word or two.
Yeah.
But especially because I mean, when I first learned English in Brazil, it would sum up to TV series, movies, music, most likely, and everything would be like American English, right? And also games, like having the dictionary on my hands and learning stuff. Yeah, that would be pretty much the American English. And so when I got that, there were a lot of like words and things I didn't know how to say. I knew how to write, but I didn't know like the correct pronunciation and everything. So with time, I'm like, okay, so this is how you say it. So this is how you actually mention that. Oh, there's actually a difference with this combination of letters. And yeah, so I started like actually polishing things here and that. So yeah, that's what improved my English the most. And also I was worried about putting the right I want to say accent, like the right sound to the words, because I noticed how different you can be to when you don't like you cannot say it correctly. For example, I had a huge struggle with the word cheap.
Yeah.
So the ch sound is just so different from like a Portuguese speaker. So I would say like ship. I would say like
with your beautiful
cheap.
Carioca accent.
I would say like I would say whatsoever. I would say anything with sh rather than ch sounds. So that would be like, for example, I would say I had a hat. Like I've had a red hat. So yeah, just like the R sound. Yeah, just things like in general from the language. I would just miss those stuff, and that would create a lot of trouble for me to communicate. And yeah, I had to pay attention.
And then you like after everything, like you came to Sweden. Like, do you know how to speak Swedish?
Not a single bit. I didn't have the motivation. Oh no, I don't. Like,
when you moved to Sweden?
Oh. Well, I moved in November last year.
So it's fair that you don't know the language yet.
Oh, it's fair.
Yeah.
It's fair, and I think people shouldn't demand me to know the language.
Yeah, for
maybe
sure.
a couple of years to like sort of adapt, at least, because that's the thing. Like, I really like Sweden, but I still don't know what the future holds for me. I don't know if there's gonna be a place where I will live for the rest of my life, and there are so many things that I could be focusing on right now, and Swedish is not on top of my list. I would really like to learn it, just to actually have like a easier way when it comes down to like reading letters, for example, reading signs on the street. When you go to the metro, there are no signs in English. If there is something out of service, because I don't know, anything might be happening, you won't know.
Yeah.
Unless like someone like mention around you, like, or if you have a Swedish to like tell you or something like that. So yeah, I mean, everyone speaks English around here, and you can pretty much like get around fairly well, but at the same time, when you get down to like living and you see like signs, restaurant menus, and letters you receive from the government. You go to the Scottavec app and you're gonna make your tax form, and everything's in English. And you open like the food app, everything's Swedish. So you open the food app. Oh no, I might not write something because I don't know how to read this. You may not even have the ways to find your way around the menus on the web in the app, and just like I want, let's say I want some Thai food. How do I filter Thai food?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really hard, and yeah, so it just it just goes from that. So that's yeah. I mean, it starts to get like a little bit necessary at some point, but with time you learn like a couple of words, keywords here and that. So
Yeah.
it's easy. That makes things easier.
I mean, but you also like you said, people speak English quite well here, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel that is a little bit of challenge for learn Swedish when everyone speak like English quite well?
Yeah. It discourages you a bit because
Yeah.
you're like, I can't get around with English, so fuck it. But yeah, but again, I feel like if I learn Swedish, I know that my adaptation to this country, and even like getting to understand like the culture, and how people think and how people communicate. And and again, like when it comes down to like more important things down in your lives, like you receive a letter from the government, you're gonna make a tax form declaration. It's just
Make a tattoo.
make a tattoo, maybe. Yes, and like anything like where Swedish may be required for you to fully understand.
Yeah.
That's when you hit the barrier in terms of your adaptation period, because that's something that you cannot. If you don't know how to read, you can.
Yeah.
So there's been times where I left my building and then on the front gate there were like signs on the cardboard paper, just written down with like a pen or something. And what the hell was that written down? Like not even like the cell phone Google Translator would help. You bump into those stuff here and there.
But yeah, let's move the subject back a little bit. How like you came here to work as a programmer? How you got interested by programming?
You mean interested in me?
Yeah, how you were like, okay, I'm gonna be a programmer. That is my thing.
Oh, maybe I wanted to suffer in life, and
Yeah.
No, but actually, I've always been like such a huge fan.
But in your time, was like a programmer was already paying you well?
Maybe that's one of the reasons as well.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get paid properly for my knowledge and my skill set. And not only that, but I wanted to like have benefits and have access to stuff. But so let's like first things first. Like I've always been like very fan of like gaming in general. So that has been like my first contact with English. And
What are you playing like recently? Like what is your games?
Oh, recently I'm just going to the gym, so I haven't even turned on my PS4. But when I had the time, it was me playing in RPGs like ever so often. So whatever like down to RPG like genre, it would be me playing. Like I love RPG and I love just getting myself lost in open worlds.
Yeah.
Games that demands over 200 hours for you to complete. Yeah, give me. So that's me. And but for example, like the game that I actually like started like learning like English, and then I got like really into RPG was The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
On the Nintendo 64 was actually the Majora's Mask that I played for the first time. And then
Which you have a tattoo
yeah,
right
which I
now,
actually
yeah.
have a tattoo for both of these games actually, and also Pokeball.
Yeah.
So I have the Majora's Mask, the Triforce, and also a Pokeball in my arm. So yeah, a lot of like childhood.
Yeah, by the record, I was joking about the tattoo. Like to learn Swedish to make the tattoo because, like, actually Jefferson was one of the biggest reasons for me also do a tattoo. Like we came together, like okay, let's do together.
Yeah, we had sort of like the idea we wanted, but we were like, oh, should I give it the first step? So yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
We pushed each other. It's like let's just do it. Let's just go.
Yeah, but yeah, continue. You were talking about like
So-
learn English in the games.
Yeah, so I had the dictionary in my hand. I was pretty much translating like the keywords and everything because an RPG game you're pretty much giving guidance. So if you don't know what the person is saying, you don't know what to do. And that was like The Legend of Zelda pretty much back then for me. And so like I've been gaming my whole life. I've been very like a fan of like general like video games and computers. So I've always been on computers itself, and like computers they have problem like ever so often. And I would see like people to come and fix the computer.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would see like those guys were. I was not I was so fan of like the work. I was like something missing, like it's breaking all the time, and so and it's something that was in my bag already. Like I wanted to learn. I wanted to be able to do it by myself. And I guess that's the thing about me.
Yeah.
If I can do it by myself and I do not need to rely on others, I'll try to do it. And or you will try to learn to do it. And yeah, maybe there's some trust issues there, but I can leave that for my therapist. I wanted to learn, and then I went to like a how do you say, it's a course to like learn the hardware course just in general. So I've learned hardware, I learned how to fix computers, just like build a computer like from scratch, like by the different like the motherboard, by the RAM, and just
Yeah.
like actually select the right combination of stuff. Just to build a computer. And so I've learned those stuff when I was younger, and then I knew how to fix a computer myself. But then I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going now into Pedro Segundo, which is like a high school in Brazil, very good high school actually.
Yeah.
And then
And this was close to your house?
not sort of. It was everything in Rio is not. It's close if it's within an hour distance, maybe. So
Yeah.
it was close. And it was interesting to learn, like, pretty much like object-oriented programming.
Yeah.
Java, and so that was good to have like the mindset.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't been using it pretty much. Like I did internships here and there, and but yeah, it was something that got really into my CV per se.
Yeah, but like you learned those things in the high school, and then in the high school you were like, okay, I want to be a programmer, and then you made college, I suppose, or like how happened to?
So the thing is, like, by the end of Pedro Segundo, I already knew like I wanted to join uni, and I actually had like a lot of things in my head. Like, okay, I wanted to join uni, and I wanted to make a master's as well. I want to just like have titles, and yeah, I was so hungry for knowledge, and that seems so cliche, but I was so
Yeah,
true when I was
yeah.
younger.
Not
Like,
cliche at all, in my humble opinion.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like coming from the background where I came from, I really wanted to make sure that I would be like, I would have a highlight on me as well. I would have like my spot, and I knew I would have to fight an extra mile than everyone else to be seen. So yeah, I wanted everything.
Yeah.
And also like when I was in Pedro Segundo, I did some sort of like a design course. So I've learned how to work around like Autodesk Maya for 3D modeling, and I learned a little bit of Photoshop and Illustrator, and I learned a thing here and there. So I was pretty much doing whatever I could, just just get everything that I could have knowledge around, like just informatics and computing in general. And but yeah, by the end of like the high school, I decided, okay, I want to go to uni, and I wanted to go to a computer science course because well, of all the areas of like computing, like computer science was one that I thought I would like be the most versatile. I would learn the most about pretty much like
Yeah.
everything, and I thought it was like a great goal for me, especially because I was good at math. I was good at math. I was not that great at physics, but I could handle myself with math. So
Yeah.
and I had a great logical thinking. So yeah, why not? And for uni, I was a little bit frustrated with the course. Just lecturers, the infrastructure of the university, and yeah, just things that happens in the university in Brazil, and yeah, everything that you can think of. And but at the same time, I was doing internships, and I was pretty much like learning as
Yeah.
again like as much as I could, and getting myself like, okay, I want to get like experiences down like my resume. I want to be able to like to say, okay, I've worked with stuff. I know my way around things. So I was just trying to collect as much experience that I could, but then like I went to the UK back in the middle of the university, and when I came, and I went to the UK especially because I couldn't handle the Brazilian reality anymore. And I don't even say the Brazilian reality in terms of like the country and what the country was offering, but like how the uni is set up, like how the courseworks like are given to the students, how the students were, how like everything was being passed down, and how everything was like demanded from the lecturers, and how much support was given in the other hand as well. So there was just so much pressure, and there was just so much anxiety around that period. That was just, I was just overwhelmed, and it was just too much for me. And I need something like to escape that sort of reality, and that's when like the Science Without Quarter came through. So it was really good to have like a replenish of energy and come back to Brazil with like a new mindset and more trained, more skilled. But
You
well,
came to Brazil with a different mentality, I suppose.
totally, absolutely, totally. Yeah. For example, like the moment I came back to Brazil, I was like, you know what? I deserve more than I had before this time around. So I'm only going for an internship that pays. I don't know. For at the time, I was like aiming for at least 1,000 reais for
Yeah.
an internship. And then back in 2015, that's quite a lot for 2015 reality. And and I managed to get an internship at Microsoft actually.
Oh, nice.
So I felt really good at myself.
Yeah.
I was really like giving myself some pats on the back. I'm like, yeah, you go down, you did it, because I felt it was so good. Like I went to the UK. I had like a good internship.
Yeah.
I was building like my CV. I was being able to. I was being able to go out with my own money. I was
Yeah.
being able to have a few stuff here and there and eat on the street, and that seems so simple, but I was just so far from what I had
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
And
Especially for someone like, sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
someone for like our reality. I remember also my internship, like back then, like 1,000 reais was like so much money for me because I used to live in Itaboraí and now my friends are making like, I don't know, less than a half of that.
yeah,
And then like,
you can barely pay your bus trip to the own internship itself.
exactly.
You just receive the money that you have to go to the internship.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
I worked it quite a bit. And the thing is, like now, like 3 years later or like 4 years later, that I was like 1,000 reais is nothing. Like when you know other people from the area and also their salary, you're just like, okay, this is like really shit money. Like I want my money, give me my money.
Yeah.
And then, but back then, I completely understand like what you're saying. Just like I was just like, damn, I am rich.
Yes,
Like,
yes, I felt rich, and that's the oddest thing because 1,000 reais is like the minimum wage in Brazil as well.
yeah,
And so like I was seeing myself as an intern, and I was a student. I didn't have, I don't know, that much taxation to go through. I didn't have
Yeah.
that much hazards that like an employee or a permanent contract has to go through. And I was just receiving as much amount of money. So I was like, okay, so what is gonna happen when I become like an actually permanent employee? So
yeah,
I was already like foreseeing a better future for myself. So that motivated me. But on the other hand, I still had the same reality of like Brazil infrastructure and also the same uni with the same pretty much like
Yeah,
lectures and
yeah.
everything.
because
So-
1,000 doesn't take you out of like any
Yeah.
community. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah,
And so yeah, like the course didn't become, it wasn't so great as expected, and my dreams of getting as much title as I thought wasn't such a thing that I was actually wanting to pursue like in the next future. Was just I wanted to get rid of it as soon as possible. Like I just couldn't. So uni became like sort of the thing that I was just pushing myself through, but there's just so much you can do when you're just pushing yourself through stuff. And it got to a point where I got my first permanent job at OLX, and uni was there. Uni was there.
which is quite a big company in Brazil.
Yeah, it's a great company when it comes down to.
Not
being
only
like-
Brazil, it's a very famous group actually,
Yeah,
right?
yes, it is. There are like branches in Portugal, I think, and also in the Netherlands, and it's sort of like a Brazilian eBay.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can put it a little bit like that, and it's a great tech company as well, like in terms of how they structure themselves and how like they have great developers and a nice tech stack as well. And joining this company, I had an opportunity to, okay, this is my first job. And that was actually the moment when I was able to, within like, I don't know, I joined like May 2017.
Yeah,
And by December on the same year, so pretty much like by the end of that year, I managed to save enough money to move out of my mom's place
Yeah.
and live next to the subway station.
yeah,
Well, that was such a huge jump coming
Yeah.
from where I came from. And I felt so good. I felt so good back then. But uni was being a hindrance in my path because it was true that things were not going quite well. And I mean, the lectures, the exercises, and so many things has changed and happened around like my uni life that pretty much frustrated me with the thing that for me at one point was a dream.
yeah.
Now it's just something that I want to get rid of. But so like it got to a point where I just sort of like gave up. I just you know what? I'm not gonna look at it anymore. So I left uni without my degree. but it took me a lot to actually take this decision because I've always felt like I was not gonna go anywhere if I didn't have that paper.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
Especially if you grew up like in, I mean, my mom grew created me with the mentality that I needed like a diploma. My father's
yeah.
and my mom, they are both teachers, and they actually they never say that explicitly, but they were just like, maybe you need like diploma, like
Yeah, and see, and that's the thing. Like, I had my family, and that's pretty much like my mom and some other people that I know, um, and then you can add on top of that like my lecturers, like they say how that is important, and I know that it's important. It's something that I've been putting effort to that point since 2011. So it has been like what 7 years.
yeah,
When I took the decision to quit 7 years and a half, it's a lot of time. That's almost 2 full degrees of computer science because when you look at, on the curriculum of the whole computer science course, it's 4 years and a half. So like 9 years you could have done both, 2 times actually. But that's not what actually happens when you look down on how the course happens like throughout the year and how like you may not have the availability for lecturers to give a specific course. You might not have the means, you might not have everything.
Yeah.
So again, I was just pushing myself. Uni was being such a hindrance, and I was developing like a lot of anxiety, depression, and it was just draining me. I changed a lot of my personality because of uni, and it wasn't like nice changes. I became such a person which was pretty much the opposite of the person who I see myself being. Like uplifted and very positive about stuff, and I was just in a dark place, and so I understood like, okay, I need to give up from this like for now, and I have to focus on what is actually giving me my happiness. And nowadays my happiness relies on having stuff that I never had before, and that can be being able to order food, food app sometimes, being able to receive mail at my home because it's not a dangerous area. The mail is delivered.
I can relate.
And that's so crazy, and that's so simple. Having your mail delivered at your place, and being able to buy something a little bit more expensive online, and not having to worry to have to leave your place to pick that item. So like all those things like came together.
Yeah, we were talking today about buying an iPhone.
Yeah, you see, like what?
And then comes in the same day. But if you look like for our realities, like it was impossible because like I remember that I had to go for the post, like go there like sometimes like, hey, do you guys have any mail for me or anything like that? Actually, my mom used to do more that for the family. Like she used to go like weekly. And then here,
that's a weekly plan.
Yeah.
Kids get dressed. We're gonna go to the
exactly, like they already know her. And then was like we moved to Itaboraí and things got better actually. But remember, like they didn't deliver because it was just like too dangerous. Like Jardim Catarina was just really bad. Like even people that live it there, they are like, yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's just like, no, I'm not even going back to my place today.
Yes. And I mean, I can fully relate. But one thing that like I mean, first of all, I think that we're both thankful, like that we could just change our reality.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, at least for me, I didn't expect like programmers to just change so much, because at first I wanted to be a doctor because my father died, and I was like, okay, I want to have some money to provide to my family. And then my mom was like, you want to become a programmer? And then I was like, do I really want to? I didn't know. And then the thing is, I wanted. And I actually started to do programming things, but in my mind, I was always like, I'm going to be poor the whole life. I didn't know the programmers like could make like, I mean, compared to other professions right now, because programming is like software engineering is such a bubble right now. Like everyone that is in the bubble is making some money. And then it's just, as a kid, I was pretty sure that I was going to live in Itaboraí for the rest of my life, and I would like not make more than something.
That's a family curse.
Yeah, I was just like, that is my thing. But in the same way, I was just like this. I mean, sometimes I just sit and think like, dude, like our life changes so much. Like
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
don't realize that,
Yeah.
especially if you come to Europe, they think that you're just like, I don't know, or you're coming without any opportunities and you're like trying to survive in the country,
Oh, I see.
or
Yeah.
you're just like I don't know, like someone really smart, like they have done masters, PhD.
Yeah. They don't see it as like it's so common for
Yeah,
like programmers and software engineers in general like, to be needed at companies
yeah,
because
yeah,
every company
yeah,
nowadays like they rely on IT at some level.
yeah,
Even if it's just the IT to keep the web page up, they rely
yeah,
on IT at some degree. And so pretty much like we have a lot of job opportunities and we're very blessed because of it because especially like with the pandemic
yeah,
like we've been the less impacted people around us,
yeah,
I guess. Like I would say that because even people who I saw they've been like the company has been like mass dismissal and it's just like yeah fired a bunch of people. I saw these people being relocated in companies like Olex for example.
yeah,
I myself did a lot of interview of people like who came from these companies who were
yeah,
just like yeah just letting everyone go because they were afraid of the pandemic and they didn't know like what the future hold. So but that's the thing. Like being a software engineer, I was able to make enough money to live like my mom's place for the first time, and I was able to live like by the subway station. And the one thing that I gained the most for me was the most valuable thing.
I think it's good to highlight because some people that are going to listen, they don't understand how difficult it is to live close to a subway station, like in
Yes.
Brazil. Because if you go for some like countries, it's just easy to live in the subway station, even if you're poor.
Yeah.
Like
It's
you're just
around.
like
Subway. There's everything.
yeah, exactly. But in Rio, that is not a thing. There is
Yeah.
few stations,
Yeah.
and if you live like close by, the price of the rent just go up a lot.
Wow, crazy
Yeah.
amount, crazy amount. I would easily spend like with bills in general, like rent and everything, would spend like 60% of my salary.
Yeah.
At the first moment, yeah, it was it was crazy, but the thing that I gained that from you like the most valuable and that is sort of like irreplaceable is that I was able to see my friends, and that's such a simple thing. But I had friends from like different parts of Rio, so living in the suburbs, like next to a favela. Me myself, I wouldn't go back home like a few times because of like the gang wars and everything. So receiving a friend back at mine, well, no,
Yeah.
not even.
It's impossible,
possible.
yeah.
Not even a possibility. I'm just not gonna take the chance, and so that's the thing. Like I was pretty much like living in a place where I could come and go at any time. I could even like order Uber from my place or to my place from somewhere. I could again like order food and yeah, I would have stuff going
Yeah.
for me and I would be able to just leave my place and go towards the subway station to take like just to take public transportation somewhere and I wouldn't worry so much about being robbed in the next corner.
Yeah.
Because it was just a little bit better of a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And there was so much changing, just like moving, I don't know, 3 kilometers? Like, not 3, but like, let's say 5 to 10 kilometers out
Yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah.
suburbs. It goes crazy. Like,
Yeah.
that's real. That's real for you.
Yeah, that is like is insane because Rio is like always with like is I actually heard about what taxi driver one time he told me like you can drive for a little bit then you get in the favela then you drive a little bit more and then you get another favela then you drive a little bit more and then you get another favela and the thing is Rio is so
And
connected.
if you're lucky and no one stole your car, you may be able to drive a little bit more again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, if you don't get rubber.
In one of these stops that you're making in this horrible path decision that you took, you might be able to get to the next one.
Exactly, but we can make fun because we
We
both
are from Rio.
we both from Rio, we both from like very bad places as well.
We are allowed.
Yeah, we only can make fun because there's no other option. Like otherwise, we would be crying like just to
Jesus,
think.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh my God. Oh, don't even tell me.
Yeah.
Don't start me that. Yeah, that's crazy. But that was me. Like and then I started like working at Rolex. I pretty much dropped uni and I focused on something that was giving me like much more knowledge actually than whatever knowledge I had from uni. There was so many stuff. Like going into my first like permanent job,
Yeah.
and joining as a junior, like a software engineer at a company such like in high level, and working with a team that I don't know within like a year would become the team responsible for creating and maintaining the whole notification stack that the company used to send emails, push notifications, or any sort of notifications that might be required to send to the user. And like not knowing how to create a single API,
Yeah.
like because uni doesn't give you like the skills. I saw how much I was lacking, and I saw how much I was like, damn, this is crazy. And so I learned much more from work. I got a lot of responsibility, and that was nice because that pushed me into learning more and more again.
And have ownership as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's the thing because I participated into creating with my colleague back then the user notification stack that the company uses until today. And it was such a massive challenge, and it was such a massive responsibility. But being able to do that work, learn from it,
Yeah.
and create an experience that like just on my second job took me like here to Sweden to
Yeah.
Stockholm on a market expansion team of a stream service product. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Like I could easily see how much I've grown in the last 5 years. So you know those questions that people are like, oh, when do you see yourself in 5 years? If you ask myself back 5 years ago, I wouldn't know what to answer. If I went back in time 5 years ago and say, oh, in 5 years you're gonna be that, I wouldn't believe myself because that's crazy. So what would happen in the next 5 years?
Yeah. It's a
So
good-
if you like put a question again in the future, it's just I'm just excited. But
Yeah.
I'm scared at the same time because
I mean, I can kind of imagine like your next 5 years, at least one part of it. Like, if you allow me to just say, since you're like, you talked about gin and stuff like that, you seem really focused on that. Like, you told me that you're not playing video games anymore and
No.
you're doing like push-ups, like probably cardio things.
yeah. Yeah.
How did this thing going up? Like, how you decided to do that?
Oh, a lot of variables actually. I mean, I've always been a chubby kid. Like I've always been the fat kid who couldn't go up a tree or couldn't like anything that requires me to move my body or just spin around. That would be I wouldn't do. So
You always had that in mind, just like,
no, the thing is like I wasn't such a fan of exercise in general.
Yeah.
I'm a lazy person. That I can say.
same thing.
Yeah, I'm a lazy person. That's why I love video games. That's
Yeah.
so good to just
It's
sit
easy.
down.
You can just
Yeah.
sit and play. Yeah.
And you can have snack along with it, and then you can cool down. You don't need to be like in the sunlight.
Yeah.
So why not? And I wasn't big for like the football with like with kids when I was younger. Like I wasn't big for like sports or anything. So yeah, that's okay. So like growing up and being like fat, especially like after the pandemic, I got like an extra 10 kilos on top of what I had. So I mean, I know like there are people who are in much worse scenario than I do, and if I have to actually compare myself to like anyone, I'm in a pretty good position. I don't have like sort of like health issues because of it, but I was getting to that point. I was already hitting the line of obesity, so I wasn't feeling confident with my own body. I wasn't feeling comfortable with my own clothes.
Yeah.
So and like getting next to like 30s and seeing like how your face changed and how your body changed because of the age, even though it's still only 30, like but seeing those stuff and just like adding everything one on the top of each other, I was getting so frustrated, and I was like, you know what? I need to move myself for my own health. Not even like for aesthetics, but like for my own health.
Yeah.
And I gotta take care of me somehow. And if that's what it takes for me to feel good about myself and feel confident and build that last bit that I feel like that might be missing about my personality, which is the confidence. So be it. Let's go for it. So I got all the motivation that I had, and I was like, you know what? I've put myself like so many goals, so much harder than this. Like I said myself, I'm gonna live Brazil. I'm not gonna live in this place forever because I want to live a happy life.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to provide a happy life for my mom as well. And if I can make more money, and that's great, thanks.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Last year it was a pandemic, and I set myself the first day of the year that I was gonna live in Brazil by the end of the year, and I so made it. So this year I was like, you know what? I'm gonna lose weight for the first time like actually gonna lose weight.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put on shape as well because you know what, I
Yeah.
can do it. And,
Since I am already doing that, like why not? Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
So, and it was sort of like a personal challenge, like many other personal challenges that I had. And I, this time around, had the right motivation because I wanted to do that for me. I really felt like it's something that I'm doing for me.
They're super important.
And it was not something that I was like, oh, I feel like this is how I should look like. No, it was pretty much like, I was doing it for me. I want to feel good with it. And my only goal in the beginning was to create the habit of going to the gym and just exercising myself like regularly because I was doing nothing. So that was my only goal. I wasn't even thinking about weight loss. Actually, it was, but like I wasn't like, oh, I want to lose 5 kilos, and I no, I was not worried about that. And by creating the habit, I was so focused. I would start looking at like food, for example, and I would worry about sleep hours and everything. So how much water I would drink. So yeah, it just went from that. And like I started by the end of January, so it's like 2.5 months. So that I've been like working out and pretty much maintaining a diet. And within like 2.5 months in, I'm near my 10 kilos mark, like 10 kilos lost. So yeah, that's a huge goal, and that's happening.
Wow,
and
congrats, man.
Thanks. And that's really motivating for myself as well, because when it gets to my birthday, like by the end of May, I imagine like I'm gonna give myself a great gift. So. I'm really excited. I'm really happy for it.
I'm also excited for your party.
Yeah, let's see summer. Let's see how summer goes. I'm gonna be like those kids in Brazil, like they walk on the street like lifting their shirts for anything. Yeah, I might become like
just waiting the opportunity.
Just waiting the opportunity to be like, oh, let me eat my upper abs here, and just like just go for it. So yes, I really want to see like how my confidence will build around it. And like recently I've been like just buying clothes and just working on sort of like my style as well. So yeah, it's nice to just like give yourself some kudos and just take care of your own self and just give yourself some gifts sometimes.
No, I do think that is great.
And it's so great for my mood, and it's been so great for my anxiety and depression as well. So you just put me like in a great place of mind. So yeah, I can't be mad about it. I just have to actually focus, and it's a little bit hard sometimes because you know what, it does get to those Sundays where you just want to hit those hamburgers, like those huge hamburgers from the size of your face, and just put sweet on top of it. And you just wanna have it all, but. Well, yeah, it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
Slowly, I'm gonna get there, and I'll be able to have it like more often.
With
less regret, actually. So.
Actually, first, congrats. Like, and the second, I have other questions. Just like,
please go ahead.
Do you think that like this also could be motivated by, because Swedish people, they seems to be like, everyone seems to be very healthy. Like goes to the gym. Everyone does exercise. I have some like Swedish friends that they're always doing something.
Oh yeah. Here people are crazy. Actually, I barely see fat people on the street. I'm like, whoa, come on, guys! You need more McDonald's in this place, I guess. So yeah, it's crazy how Swedes are like. It can be snowy, and just the
people are running,
People are running like snow falling, and people are like And they're just like on their best, like running clothes. I'm just like, this is crazy.
I have done that actually.
This is madness.
No, but I have done like just 3 or 4 times. Then I thought that was just me, but I was like,
no.
Then came like, I probably saw like 10 people the same day, like running Södermalm.
Oh yes. Oh my god. People here are crazy actually.
It was like,
but I mean, that's the thing about this country. I think this country in general, the culture around it, it's quite good actually, because people have this health mentality of like, I have to do exercises and I have to eat well, like, so foods in the supermarket, you can easily find like frozen vegetables.
Yeah.
Like you can easily find like healthy stuff for easy preparation, for example. So if you don't want to waste too much time in the kitchen, you have healthy options to not waste a lot of time in the kitchen. So that really helps like the country build this mentality around like pretty much taking care of your own body and mind. And maybe the fact fact that he is dark most of the year, maybe
could be.
Maybe that adds to like people being like, you know what, I have to be active into this something because I'm gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
It's because like I've been like, for example, like this winter we haven't seen the sun for like what, over almost a month. So that was crazy. That was crazy. And coming from Rio, where we took the sun for granted, just like 40 to 50 degrees.
It's too much, yeah.
Yeah, it's just too much. So, but yeah, there was like a little bit of like, okay, everyone's healthy, and there's like the social pressure of being sort of like healthy as well, especially when it comes out to the dating world and everyone is so like fit and everything. That creates that sort of that's a little bit pushing, like maybe we should look good too. And but again, like as I said before, I tried to, even though there were like these signals being trying like to push me into doing it, I actually developed the mentality, okay, I want to do this for myself. So I actually started seeing this as an opportunity thing. Yeah, and I was like, you know what, like it's so easy. There are so many like gym options, and when it gets to this to like sunny days or just like spring and just warmer days, I could run around. There are plenty of places around here. Which is very cool to run around, and just go for a walk in the city and just know the different parks and the different areas. So like just adding that to my routine, it was just fun. And, but like the reality, it sort of like pushes you a little bit, and but it was good to like take those small pushes and be like, you know what, you may be pushing me, but this is my decision. I want to do this for myself. So in the end,
even for me, like I started to do vegetarian. I think I have done like almost 2 months of vegetarian because here you have so many options, you know, like of food.
Yes.
Compared to Brazil, it's just like you literally have to pay a lot to be vegetarian.
Oh yeah, Brazil is sort of like a punishment. It's like, oh, you're making my you're making my restaurant.
It's not easy. It's not easy to find vegetarian options, and here you come for. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating, but you go for every goddamn restaurant and they have vegetarian options.
Yeah.
If they don't have everything or like most of part like vegetarian.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And actually, like some of those like are way better than the meat options actually. But it's just it's just so much fun, like how this country has a lot of like variety in terms of like opportunities in general for everything you can imagine, from food to even work sometimes.
Yeah.
So and I mean, the one thing that I like the most about Sweden is actually like the safety and how safe I feel in this country, and that's so odd for me to say, being a black gay Brazilian guy and just like a foreign person in this country, to feel safer in here than I would ever feel in Brazil. Yeah. And that for me is a little bit aggravating because we have more black people in Brazil.
Yeah. Actually, that was I was going to ask you, like, how you feel like living here with among the whites.
Oh, among the whites, these people here.
I mean, for me it was like, I know that like in Brazil I would be considered white, but like talking to Swedish people, they are like, you're not white. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a whole new level. Of
yeah, exactly. And then I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. And then the thing, it was like, first I was impressed by the answer. And the second thing, I was I was just like, okay, I also don't feel that I am white here. Like, it's just like, I feel everyone actually says that I am the Latino, that I am like the Brazilian, that I am something.
It's the skin tone most likely.
Yeah.
Because we're so mixed.
Yeah.
And we barely have, that's me saying from the top of my head. I don't know statistic to base that, but at least I feel like we don't have as much as white people as we have here in Swedish. Like everyone has a little like more of a tan. Sometimes maybe just because of the sunlight. Well, so be it. But in general, like people have like this darker shades of like white, so it does happen because of like.
But I mean, even for me that I'm white in Brazil, white here as well. I don't feel that I'm not white. No. But even for me, it's just like I came here and I knew that Sweden was mostly white. Yes. But my first day, my second week, my first month, I was just like, damn, people here are so white. Like that was my mentality. I was just like,
I wonder like how white it was for you, because for me it's a whole other spectrum of difference.
yeah.
So,
No, but I mean, I guess, I mean, I told you, like, my grandpa was a black dude. I came to here, and then I came from a black community. Like, San Gonçalo is mostly black.
Yeah.
Like, Jardim Catarina, I don't even remember people being, like, I don't remember have many white friends in my school, you know? Like, in my class was mostly black people. Or if they are not black, they're like they're not like white people.
yes, absolutely.
And then I was
Yeah.
just like, they were actually, they had like black descendants like
Yeah.
I had. And then I was just, yeah.
Black, but yeah.
And then I came here and it was just like, damn.
Yeah.
No, it's not mixed at all. And how you feel about it?
Okay, so I don't know. Okay, so I feel safe, as I said. There might have been like a thing here and there. I was like, damn, girl, hold.
Yeah.
Too racist. But like overall, it's really hard to say because I haven't had any racist thing like I'm coming from like directly on my face, at least. So people has been very respectful.
Yeah.
People has treated like me pretty well whenever I ask for information in general. Like there has been time like I ask information in the metro. Oh, how do I get to the station? Like I was in the wrong subway, and the girl actually laughed with me and she took me to the platform.
Yeah.
And that was the level of treatment I had. Once I was in the supermarket and I was asking information for a guy like, how do I buy milk? Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like people, if you don't speak Swedish and you come to this country and you're gonna buy milk, you're gonna have a hard time. So and like there was a guy like he just like helped me understand like the differences and everything. And by the end of our conversation, we actually had like half an hour conversation, and by the end of that conversation, he gave me like a public transportation card because he had like one just spare.
You told me that story,
and it was just like so crazy, like so I had great experiences actually in this country. There are a few like one which were a little bit frustrating, but those even like erase the good ones.
Yeah.
And there are a few things that I noticed that is a little bit odd. Like people really notice me on the street, and sometimes I think it's because of my hair, and just because of like how unique my traits are, you know. So I always think like, oh, he's beautiful. That's what I'm looking at. And that's the usually thing. So I'd be very okay with it. And there has been those tweets which like, oh, social distancing. They might cross the street. They put like their shirts on their nose and like, no, I can't smoke. He's smoke on me, breathe. He's it's just crazy. But those are like things that happen here. And
in Japan that actually happened with me too. When I went there, like
more crazy, I say.
Crazy. Well, I went there in Tokyo. No, Tokyo was actually quite fine, but I went for like cities like far away of Tokyo, and like I went for I think a village close to Nikko, and then people are just looking to me like excited. They're like, oh my god, they wanted to take pictures with me actually.
Like, oh, you're such a rare creature. Just take pictures.
Actually, the owner of the inn, she told me that didn't have many visitors out from like foreigners. That she didn't see in life people like that. And then I was just like, cool. And she was like, no, really, I only have seen like 10 or 15 people like outside. And then I was like, here I am.
Thanks, I guess.
But I mean, and you told me that like here, like you feel fine.
Yeah.
But it's weird when you think that Brazil have more black people so far. It's just so racist that you cannot like even walk. Like
without the police stopping sometimes for random reasons.
Exactly. I told you this story one time about like
the random search in the airport. No, you've been randomly selected. Sure.
I mean, one of my best friends, like I was walking with him in Botafogo, and then police stopped me to just ask like, is everything okay with me? And now my friend was just like,
you should have played the dumb and be like, oh, why?
No, actually, I didn't notice because I was just like 16, and as I told you, I grew up in the San Gonçalo. Like in San Gonçalo, I would say that it's hard to be racist. Like if you were racist in São Gonçalo.
Yeah, maybe I can easily like think that. Maybe if I go there for half an hour and listen to people speaking, because being racist, even though like sometimes it's so deep in you. Like it's on your habits. And you might not even notice. And people will say, "Oh no, I'm not racist. I have a black friend," and like, "Fuck you." Dude,
it's so true. Actually, that was one of the things that my friend like teached me. Like in that book that I showed you one time, like the structural racism.
Oh yeah,
from the
racism.
it's such a good book, and like the first chapter is exactly about what you said, and I learned so much, like in the way that we talk, like daily things, like just like I was just, I mean, even for me, like I was okay. I don't say that much, but then then the guy talks like this is racism. And I was just like talk about like blacklist and stuff like that.
What is a blacklist?
And why the white list is a good thing.
What is the black sheep of the family? You know, those are the things. Why is the black portrayed as the evil color? Like, why the evil is portrayed as black? And so those are things like they're racist. And for example, like me myself, even being like a black person and understanding myself as black and loving myself as a black person. I've been racist with my own self for like quite a long time. Like my hair, for example, like, and that's the thing, and I think it has a lot to do with like how society portrays everything around like racism and race in general. And so I would like be a kid in my home of like my mother, my aunt, my grandma. They would be watching soap operas. And they would see the white actress like with the straight hair and using like different colors and like different dresses, and they would, "Oh, I want to look like her, and she's beautiful," or "That guy over there, he's beautiful with that body, with those eyes, with that like straight blonde hair." And for me as a black kid, I was always told, especially by my family, that's the hard thing, like, you should cut your hair. You can let your hair grow. Like, and I would listen to everyone around me, like how my hair was called a bad hair. So even like the bullying at school, people would compare my hair to metal sponges. Like Bombril. It's a brand in Brazil. So it's so crazy how we go down that path. So I grew up not liking my hair, obviously, like I wouldn't like to show it. But at the same time, my hair became sort of like an identity of me, because the first time I was straightening out my hair, not letting it grow, but straightening out my hair and how you say, and painting the hair, like some colors. And I was liking how it changed my appearance. But at a later age, I was seeing like everyone rocking a curly hair, and I was like, damn, there is beauty in the curly. There's so much beauty in it. That's so unique with all like the twists and all the curves and the texture, and it looks so great, and it will be so much less effort as well. So I started like growing my curly hair and seeing like how my hair would look naturally. I had no idea how my hair would look when it grew like over, I don't know, 5 centimeters, for example. I had no idea how it would look like. And I already had like a bad expectation for it. And that's the thing. I never even like learned how to take care of my own hair from my own family of women, black women. And that's such a crazy thing. Like, so I pretty much like changed my hair, and I loved the result. I loved what I was saying, and I felt so free. And that's when I noticed, like, okay, there are so many pressures still inside me that isn't mine, but was given to me, and I was raised with those, so I have to just learn how to let them go. So yeah, it was a process. It is a process. Like, there might be time when I will say something like, "Oh, wait, that doesn't seem right." So yeah, it's almost like a constant work. But when you worry about it, you already do a lot to try to change it, especially if you really care about it. So yeah, it has been a journey.
You have actually talked about like straight up the hair. I don't know the term in English, but
maybe it's straighten up the hair.
The thing is,
use products and everything.
We had this conversation before, but sometimes I feel that like, no, I definitely believe in this, is really related also for of like diversity and black people being representative
Yes.
in many things. Like I think one time we were watching like a music clip, and then like we watched it like in a row, maybe 10 or something. Didn't have any black person,
Yeah.
and then like in the I think in the last one, the unique black person that was working for the white people as a butler, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah. I do remember.
Yeah, we had this conversation.
Yeah.
That was just I came up to home and I was like, I was reading that book also about the structural racism, and it was just like the guy actually talks about this, like about the part of like being representative, and then I was just like, damn, is so important, you know, like
Yes.
even for my
Yes.
sister, she also had like how you can say it's curly hair,
Curly.
and
Yeah.
she like for the until
Or
50,
the afro hat, depending if you have, but yeah, usually it's curly.
yeah, she until 16, she straight up the hair because she wanted to look like the models,
Yes.
like the people that are just like, oh my god.
Those who were portrayed, and it's beautiful.
Exactly. And the
Absolutely.
thing is, my sister is way beautiful with the natural hair. It's just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
why I remember as a kid, I was just looking to that, and I was just like, this is not you. This is just
Yeah.
like a person that you want to be,
Yeah.
and you're much more beautiful, like the way that you are.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you might want to straighten up your hair here and there. That's okay,
Yeah.
I guess. But the problem is if you straighten up your hair because you feel like curly, the afro,
Yeah.
it's not beautiful. That's not good.
Yeah.
And yes, it has a lot to do with representativeness, whether we have that in the media or just in general from. And for example, like me, growing as a gay black kid from the suburbs, I had no representative from my family. For
Yeah.
example, like the person who were working in my family had maybe the best income was my mom, and she's a seamstress. She doesn't have like a amazing, massive, well-paid job, but she's a seamstress.
Yeah.
She does clothes for a living, and that's been what she has done like her whole life since she was the age of 16. And yeah, like there was no one in my family who had a degree, for example. So who I would portray myself, who I would base myself from?
Yeah.
Like, I had no one to like mirror myself. It's just like just have
Yeah.
that vision, like, oh, I want to be that person. I had the vision in my own head of like who I wanted to be, man, and that was it. But
And it's also pretty vague because you don't know. You usually when you have someone, you usually have the steps like to follow.
oh yeah, or sometimes like they help you with that path.
Yeah.
They throw you some bones.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt like I had nothing, and but I actually had something very great. I had a great education, I had a great family, I had a great mother, and I had like the family support, and I had a home.
Yeah.
And those are stuff like some people don't even like dream of having, and those actually like yeah, that helps a lot. That changed a lot because growing up in a favela, pretty much I wasn't like from the side of favela, but I was living from favela. I was seeing like
Yeah.
on a daily basis. You have so many, I don't want to say bad examples, but like you have people using drugs in front of you.
These bad
Yeah.
examples, like I mean, even for me, my friends, they are entering like crime, and they're just like, I'm making a lot of money, and the thing is,
I've heard that.
yeah, you just like you look and you're like, okay, there's an amazing. Then if I had joined it, then like 2 years later, I would be dead, and they're just my neighbors, and they're just like, then
maybe yeah, that's the thing. Like I had such a strong family support. I was so smart. I always knew like I was quite smart, and that made me quite cocky to say, but fuck it. And that whenever I saw like, okay, yeah, they have money, but also they're running for the police.
Yeah.
They're working late at night. They do not have one time to chill down because they may get shot.
Yeah.
If they do not pay attention, and that's the thing. They're not only their freedom, but their whole life is at risk here.
Yeah.
And that's not something that I want for me. And that's what actually like kept me in the path of actually trying to be someone different and not going sort of like for the easy path. I don't because there's a lot to like, and I cannot speak for people who actually like get into crime, but I've seen the different stories. I had like a friend. It wasn't like a close friend, but like was a kid who used to play with me on the street when I was younger, and he lived in the favela. And I remember when I was growing, like with all these gang wars and the gang exchanges and everything. I remember, I think the new gang from the place, they like he pretty much like, how do you say, like he gave up like one of the gang members, like someone, or he just like he said something he shouldn't say somewhere to someone that, yeah. So and yeah, he wasn't so fortunate, unfortunately. And that has been the life of like these people, like these people like we've seen when I was a kid. And yeah, their life being ended like so soon because of all this world thing, and like how it's dangerous. It's not something easy to grow up with, like around you. And but I always knew like the danger and of picking that choice. And it was, and money, power, being respected by fear sometimes, or just, I don't know. And the things that I could sort of read from the situation when I would see like, yeah, the gangs and the drug dealers and everything, like when I was a kid, all these things were appealing to me because for me, the good things about life was never about the power and the money you had, but actually like from how chilled life can be and how in peace you can be with everything around you. And I wasn't seeing peace back then. So
yeah, man, give me like goosebumps here. Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, and I would never feel myself at peace, like seeing those things and imagining myself in that world, or seeing, or even like wondering why would someone pick to be that. And I wouldn't understand it until like, yeah, actually you start seeing like some people have absolutely nothing, and I felt like I had nothing, but there were people who didn't even have like a place, and that was the one place they could go. There was the only place they would get food sometimes, or even like they would get the money to bring food home. And yeah, so everyone has their story, and everyone had their reasons. And but at the same time, I've always been so blessed to be able to have like a family, a home, a good education, and be able to be very critical about the things that like were happening around me. And I always ask, why is this like this, and why this should be like this. And that actually developed sort of like a stubborn like mindset in me, because I remember, for example, when I was growing up and I was like getting like from 16 to 18, in that age you can sort of like start working, getting some money. And I've seen like my mom and like my family members pushing me to work, and oh yeah, work with anything, go anywhere, do anything, just get yourself some money and just get stuff started, because you might not become like no one in life. So there was that pressure as well, like from the reality that my family had in their mind, because they didn't have examples of that. That was the life for them, was to start working at the age of 16, 18, and to start being able to bring money home to help with the family. And being resistant to everything that was happening around me and everything that people were saying to me, and being true to what like I felt was the right path to follow. And to the point like where I actually like, okay, I managed to get to uni, I actually managed to get internships. Now I'm getting actually money, which I would be getting from working, but it's the same amount for less time for a more professional job, which is gaining me like experience, which in the future will turn into a much better well paid job, and so on and so on. And things haven't been like that easy, to the point that when I left the high school, for example, back in 2009, I wasn't approved in the uni like at first. I had to do the NA, which is our national exams, to join the uni for a second time the following year. So I had a whole year which I did absolutely nothing, and I felt like my dreams were sort of like shattered. But well, I kept fighting, I kept pushing, and it happened. And in that year, I pretty much like was just fixing computers from people like in the neighborhood, and just trying to fetch myself some money to be able to go to clubs and just drink with friends, because I was at that age. I wanted to go out, I wanted to meet people, and
You're still in the age.
I'm still in the age though. I'm still a debutante. So,
dude, I just like this last part was just gave me goosebumps. I just like, and then I think this is a wrap up. Like
sure. I mean, Less about that.
Yeah, but I'm so glad, so happy that we had this conversation. I mean, it's really important. Also, I do believe it. The is like our stories, yours as well, and it's just people in Brazil. They need to listen. Like they need to actually listen that people could make it.
Yeah.
Like I received so much message like from people when I joined at Spotify, and then people like even from like there's people from many famous favelas in Brazil, but they're like, you are making something that like you had no idea the powerful like they you're making on me, like the power of the thing they're just doing, and that I mean just talk about now like this now makes me feel like but it's just like your story is just like it's something that I really wanted. That is the reason that I invited you, because
Thank you.
for me it's just like we need to listen more of this. We need to.
It's a long story, a lot of journeys.
Yeah.
But it was nice to achieve something, and let's not leave without saying that this has nothing to do with meritocracy. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
It wasn't just because I put a lot of effort. I was a little bit lucky as well, and I had to fight more than many other people had to, and so it was crazy.
I don't believe in meritocracy at all.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because not everyone is given the same opportunity from the start. If everyone were given the same opportunity from the start, I bet more black kids would be here today.
Yeah, even like my father, like I told you, like he grew up without father. He had to work for I think 14. He had to work for like provide also things in home. He didn't even have a mom active in home. And he busted his ass work. Like he got like 4 college degrees.
Wow.
He was always I don't remember any moment of my life that he was not like studying. And that was his thing to me. Like if you want to change your reality, you need to do like things like. And the thing is, he also didn't believe in meritocracy. He was not saying in that way that I was. Like if I do everything like that,
because I thought for this. It's actually
and he had have a thing like, because if the opportunity comes one day, you need to be ready, and like education, it is just like put you in the door, and you need to be lucky. Like obviously you need to be
because that's the thing. You can be prepared your whole life. You could study. You could have all the credentials. You could have a degree. You could have past experience. But someone might not look at you as a viable option just because of your skin tone. And that's what happens. And that's what about meritocracy.
Dude.
Wow.
Just insane. Thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure, actually.
I'm really happy. And I'm gonna, again, thank you. And there's it. There's a wrap up.
Thanks, man.